Hi guys, Jamie here, and in this video I'll be talking about gambling and cockfighting in Luzon by me. Let me just check. Things are ready. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to talk about gambling in the Philippines in general. So gambling has been a large part of Philippine culture. It's like part of the tradition. So even before Ferdinand Magellan came to the Philippines, a lot of people still gambled. Um, Cockfighting was very prevalent. A lot of people bet things on fighting. Um, when chickens fight, it's very natural because they're fighting um, over a mate or territory. So they naturally do that. And just putting money on them is like a very human thing to do. And so after Ferdinand Magellan came to the Philippines and the Spanish colonized the Philippines, added more infrastructure and stuff. Card parlors, horse racing, billiard halls, and cockpits were institutionalized. So they made these buildings where people could actually go and place bets on and gamble in a real sense. So more people bought lottery tickets so they can escape poverty with a miracle. So like a lot of people would, um, yeah, they're really wishing that they could have a lot of money. So that's what happened from that. And then what also arrived are POGOs, also called Philippine Offshore Gambling Operators. So these are places where that appeal to foreign tourists and it's like a gambling site, kind of like this picture right here, like halls and halls of um, where people can place bets and do roulettes and kind of that kind of stuff. And Philippines makes a lot of money with this. Because the revenues compete with um, places, casinos in Las Vegas and Macau, so it's pretty big. Okay, now I'm going to talk about what is cockfighting. It's a blood sport between two cocks called fowls who fight each other till one drops, and most of the time they die. And you'd actually want them to die because you don't want them to suffer, I guess. They fight in a ring called a cockpit. So this is in the picture. That's it right there. This place is called Araneta Coliseum. This is a very big coliseum in the Philippines. It's where the big fight between something Frazier and Muhammad Ali fought, and that that happened here. This is yeah, that's called the Thrilla of Manila. So this coliseum is where big things happen, and cockfighting is a very big thing that happens in the Philippines here. And it's not all cockfights happen in a coliseum like this. The ones in Luzon and big cities typically do, but most of the time it's in like someone in like outside in a village or something. It's like a place where people meet up. It's very unofficial. There's no um it's it's not like this. Um yeah, in the 19th century, nearly every village had a cockpit, and in a lot of villages they still do. So it's very part of their culture. Um, and sabong is another word for cockfighting. It's betting on live cockfights. So you'd have people waving their hands, and then they gather your bet, and then they dole out money if you won, and then if you lose, you have to pay up. Um, Fights like at this place happen on the weekends, so like they're formal events that people gather for, and then individual fights take less than a minute because you'll see next in this fight. Yeah, so they attach gaffs or toddy or slashers to the talons of the cocks. So they attach blades to their feet, and that's what allows them to fight faster and kill faster. So so it depends on where you are in the Philippines, but some people put the gaffs on one foot, either the left foot. I think it's I don't know why, or they do the right foot, or sometimes they do both. But nowhere do they do neither because that fight will take a long time, and they're gonna be fighting based on exhaustion, not just skill. So that's what they're breeding and fighting for like a quick fight where there's where you see a lot of action. Okay, so budding cocks are commonly bred after victory to pass on traits. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about like the cock from when they're born to when they fight. So if a cock wins in battle, then that cock has desirable traits, and the breeders want those traits to be passed down to the future generations so they can get better at fighting. And they're raised and trained to fight. So whenever the cocks are ready to fight, they practice fighting with other ones, and this is not dangerous at all because they don't they actually put covers on their talons so they don't damage the opponent. It's more like maybe strategy. It's you can't really tell a cock how to fight. It's how to they're just practicing and so they can do it later. So in 2 to 3 years, that's pretty fast how they grow up. They are ready to fight, and then the breeders bring them to a competition and attach gaffs or tarry or slasher to the talon. And gaffers are people who are specialized in wrapping the tari onto the talons. It's a very intricate process. It takes a long time. Very skilled. You have to know how to do it, and there's different sizes, different materials, and there are people who actually make the tari too. They make it from scratch, actual metal. Yeah. So before they get in the fight too, they also get cleaned with insecticide. So in the picture here, there's a bucket, and they put sprinkles of insecticide in it, and they dunk the chicken in. That's how they take care of the chicken. So they take care of it so much that there's a saying that if there's a house fire, the breeder would take care of the chicken before the wife and child. That's how much they love their cocks. So, and yeah, so that's about the cock. Now during the cockfight, yeah, I already talked about that. The Okay, so before the cockfight, the two cocks and the breeders are announced, and like they gather up and see, okay, your cock is around the same level as mine, same height, weight. It's gonna be a good fight. So they put it on an announcement that we're gonna have this cock, his name, and sometimes they don't name them, the breeder's name and the other breeder's name, and they're gonna fight. And then they would gather bets before, and I didn't say. Oh yeah, crystals are the names of the people who gather bets, and they're the ones waving their hands and saying that, and then they fight until one cannot move. So one doesn't get up, and then that's what happens. And then the winner is taken to the infirmary to heal their wounds. And and this person uses a lot of stitches, and they really take care of it. And then at first the chicken's like scared, but then the chicken like knows what it's doing. It's very cool how they're like doctors kind of to the chickens. They're really cool. And in a month to a year, it depends on how severe the injuries are, the cock will be ready to fight again. And then the losers, they're brought to the kitchen to get eaten. And the winning bettors collect it, and then they collect their winnings from the crystal. Now I'm going to talk about the differences in Manila versus the rest of the Philippines. Manila is in Luzon, and the Araneta Coliseum was in Quezon City, still in Luzon. So Sabong is pretty uniform throughout the Philippines. Like they all have this kind of same traditions. Like they all have gaffs on them, sharp blade. But Manila has more occurrences of a single gaff on the left foot rather than both feet or the right foot. And cockfighting in Manila is more commercialized. Like they have more buildings where things can take place. And crystals in Manila, the people that gather the bets, they log down the bets, like they write it down or put it on something electronic so that I mean in the rest of the Manila, crystals are very good at memorizing, but in large cities, there's a lot of bets going on and you have to keep track of more. So they have to log it down. And yeah, there are a lot of honest people in a cockpit, and more actually, people say it's more than a church because in a church, people take bribes and stuff, and but in cockpits, everyone is the same and equal. And then there's different based on geography. There's different breeds of chicken. So for Sabong, this is the Shamo. The Shamo has like a long, skinny neck. It's black and kind of long. And then there's the modern game and the Sumatra breeds that look different. They're kind of thicker. I think they have a little bit more muscle. but based on geography, the Shamol came from Thailand, so it's kind of right next to the northern part, and then the other parts of the Philippines they have the modern game in Sumatra. Sumatra is in like Indonesia, Malaysia, that kind of area. So based on that, that's how the chicken traveled. And then there's coronavirus impacts on cockfighting, which is recently in the past few years. Um, the cockpits were closed from the pandemic. The government didn't want people to gather around, so so they kind of closed all the cockpits and they were illegal for a while. So the breeders and gaffers they lost their lifestyle, so they're forced to game sell their fowls. But then underground fights were organized, and this is kind of shady. It's where people who were breaking the rules knew that they were breaking the rules, and so like more shady people came out. So it kind of broke the fun of cockfighting, you know. But people still did it because that was their life. And then these illegal fights are so well known that there's a word for it called tubada or tigbake, and isabong, which was permitted, so it's allowed, and that's electric sabong. We'll explain about that more. So it's electric sabong, so it's online, and people would have it on their phones or devices, and then you would watch a cockfight happen on your device between two cocks, and you would bet before that happened, and the government made $11.34 million from Isabong monthly, and this is during the pandemic, so a lot of fights were online, and so the levels of crime rose. And the things about online betting is that it's easy to hit the button, but in a actual betting thing, you know the people around you, they know how much money you're willing to bet, and you kind of have that personal relationship with all the people there. Instead of online, you kind of don't know the person, and it's not as personal. So so I think because of that, crime rose. There's robberies, kidnappings, and murders to the Christos because people were claiming that they're not upkeeping their end of the bargain, but actually they're actually losing bets, so they can't repay it. So there was a 19-year-old who stole from like a 7-Eleven to pay debts from Isabang, and it's kind of bad that happened. Is there was a mother who sold her like I think 11-month-old child to pay for Isabang. So but that child did I think they convinced her not to sell. I don't know. That was just one of the headlines I read. So it's kind of sad that that happened. So based on stories like that, and there was a lot of stuff happening. It was banned on May 3rd, 2022, which is quite recently. Uh, but but still, people kind of want to do it because they still had the people were still making money. So yeah. And these are my sources. And if you have any questions, please ask them. I like this topic. It's pretty cool to learn about. I watched some cockfighting growing up. It's pretty cool. I mean, they didn't have like it wasn't it was just like practice stuff, but it's kind of cool to see how they fight, you know? Yeah. Thank you for watching. Bye.